school lets you enter on your 3rd birthday, but you won't begin meeting eligibility until you're 4. Let's see what else did I miss. Oh, students who may be in virtual school or in a homeschool program are also not eligible. There was last year, it was some type of like an exception that was made for students who were in a homeschool program who were registered with the public school and they were receiving auxiliary services. Somehow those students were eligible, but we haven't had that continue on. So I'm not quite sure if that was the state trying to test it out to see how many students there were. But let's say you decide to homeschool your student and your student has been assessed in a public school, they need speech, they need other services. If that public school provides auxiliary services or related services to them, even if they go to another private school, some of these private schools that are like at churches that don't have any specialized services, the public school may still go into that private school to provide speech or OT or language therapy or physical therapy, some of the things that that child would otherwise be receiving in the public school, but that private school does not offer. And that also, they will receive funding, but it will be a significantly less amount because they're only getting logged for related services. They're not getting logged for the full frequency, intensity, and staffing that you would of an all-day program.
So what if a kid is hospital or homebound for a portion of their 1 year?
They're still in the public school. If the public school has made them hospital homebound, because that's the setting. So the setting can either be general ed, inclusion, self-contained, hospital homebound. So if their IEP says that their setting is hospital homebound, and they're sitting at their home chilling, and the teacher comes out 1 day a week, if on that 1 day in October and that 1 day in February that teacher comes and that child is there, they count. Just really.
So they can't, so if they're homeschooled, they're not eligible. But if they're in a public school and they're homebound because of whatever reason, then they can't.
If your status on your IEP is hospital homebound, so typically hospital homebound is like severe behavioral problems, medically fragile, maybe children who have cancer, children who have HIV, children who have significant mental health diagnoses, they receive that status, which means they can stay at home, and a public school teacher, so they're still enrolled at a public school. That public school teacher just goes to their house to teach them 1 to 3 times a week. And it really is.
So then they can be eligible versus somebody who's
Just homeschooled because their mom wanted to keep them at home. And, because that student who was just homeschooled potentially has never been assessed by a school. So they don't know if they have a diagnosis, they don't have an IEP, they don't have any related services noted. It's just the mom wanting to keep them at home and teach them.
Okay.
Does that make sense? The difference between? Options for students under the McKay Scholarship. You can attend another public school. Like I said, you can attend a public school that's in an adjacent county. So if you live in Duval County and you don't mind driving your child to St. Johns County, then you can use your McKay Scholarship to take them to St. Johns County. Just remember that if that school in St. Johns County fills up the next year, it is at that specific school and district's discretion to let your child continue because they're making that exception for you. So every year you have to not a reapply in the sense of McKay, but you have to reapply with that school district soon enough, far enough in advance to know if they have room for your child. Does that make sense? Or you could choose to go to Baker or Clay or Nassau. I think that's all, right? Specific to here.
When does it happen that the schools got their, they know their count? So
They're supposed to know by the end of the 3rd day of school, like by the 3rd day of school in August, like when school starts, they're supposed to know who's going to come and who's not going to come, and they'll mark those children as not coming, not attending, unless the parents have called.
So it could be up to the 3rd day of starting that a child can be bumped.
Yep. Or that a child could start, yeah. So it's most important for the special assignment students, and then students that are using, that are going